It's known throughout the higher level trafficking community that their leadership for their paramilitary wing are four former U.S. Special Forces. You've got a Green Beret
U.S.
who, yes, a Green Beret that's Delta Force, two Navy SEALs, and a Ranger from the 75th Ranger Regiment.
Did you guys hear that?
You mentioned in the email, and I would love to circle back to this, is what are some of the biggest challenges the United States military would face if deployed against cartels in Mexico?
All right, guys, we got an interesting one. A follower sent me this podcast. I would link it in the description box below so you guys can listen to the entirety of this one. Borderland over at Ironclad YouTube channel. Some interesting things they're talking about. This individual used to be a part of the cartel. He was an enabler, meaning he ran some support operations for them. Started off as a hacker and then venturing into laundering, right? Let's see what they have to say about the military taking on the cartel. Let's hear them out.
There are fundamental difference between the cartels, and I can speak only about the Pacific side. I don't speak about the Gulf side. But on the Pacific side, Jalisco New Generation is much more militaristic. Sinaloa prides itself on being clever. So they're going to adopt a posture where they'll just take a lower profile. The group out of Jalisco is the more militaristic group, and it's known throughout the higher level trafficking community that their leadership for their paramilitary wing are four former U.S. Special Forces. You've got a Green Beret a Green Beret that's Delta Force, two Navy SEALs, and a Ranger from the 75th Ranger Regiment.
Did you guys hear that? A Green Beret guy that went Delta Force, two Navy SEAL, and a Army Ranger makes up the leadership of the Jalisco Cartel. Let's keep listening.
Those are the leaders.
Oh, man. Hold on. I'm from the 75th Ranger Regiment.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. I've never heard this before. So the top four for the CJNG.
Yes. Yeah, because, the guy that, when the Jalisco was part of Sinaloa, they were operating under the aegis of a drug lord named Nacho Coronel. Well, Nacho Coronel controlled Jalisco. Coronel's partner was Lobo Valencia. One of the Valencias is married to Mencho. So Mencho had the family connection, so he's ostensibly in charge of the group that at the time was called the Mata Zetas, the Zeta Killers. Well, he handled the money because he was a family member. They had the American Special Forces handle the actual building of their paramilitary. So they recruited former Mexican Special Forces, which is the next tier of leadership. Their main body is former Mexican military personnel, and then they bolster it with Special Forces from Central American countries, Honduras, El Salvador, Panama. These are all guys that come to the United States. They get trained by our guys at Bragg. They get trained at the School of the Americans in Georgia.
That's absolutely correct, guys, because the 7th Special Forces Group, the Red Empire, guys, they're down there right now in Latin America training commandos, training special forces. And this guy makes another good point. Keep listening.
Counterinsurgency type training. And so when they go back to their countries and they finish their tour of service, they get paid top dollar. Remember, Jalisco New Generation generates $3-4 billion a year. They can afford to pay these men top dollar.
It's no different than when we, as former soft operators, when we retire, we go contract with your Blackwaters, your Triple Canopies. We get top dollars for that expertise. So now these guys outside of the United States being trained by us, when they get out of military, guess what? They have some of the same skills. So they're going to go get top dollars for their experiences. And one of the biggest employers out there is the cartel. So guess what, man? Dudes are going to find work and they're going to get paid for their experience. I still can't get over the fact that we have U.S. Special Operation soldiers as part of their leadership. Let's keep listening.
And so when they broke away and formed their own structure, the Matazetas became Jalisco New Generation. It's essentially a military wing that got involved with drug trafficking. Whereas Sinaloa was always drug traffickers that built a military wing. And so that's why you see where Jalisco particularly have had numerous encounters against the Mexican military. And one of the main concerns that I have is, look, the American military is the most powerful fighting force in the history of the world. We have career bureaucrats, however, who formulate plans that, quite frankly, aren't reasonable given the nature of the adversary you're fighting. You know, we spent $2 trillion and 20 years fighting in Afghanistan. We didn't lose a battle in Afghanistan. But yet today, the flag of the illiterate goat herder is flying over every flagpole in that country.
Guys, I don't think we're ever going to stop hearing that fact. To his point, he's accurate. We whooped ass in Iraq and Afghanistan. Right? We won a shit ton of battles, but we lost the war.
But there's a reason why we lost. And it's not the military's fault. It's the career bureaucrat. The guys that go to the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. They're not qualified to come up with plans when the adversary is a functionally illiterate Mexican with a second, third, or fourth grade education, any more than they were qualified to do so with an illiterate goat herder in Afghanistan. So now, the guys that are putting together these plans, they're already talking about collaborating with our partners in the Mexican government. Are you insane? You did an episode earlier about a gentleman named Hernando Garcia Luna.
Guys, that's what we're doing right now. 7 Special Forces Group, as of yesterday, landed in Mexico to start training the Mexican military.
Hernando Luna was their Minister of Public Safety, their FBI director. Do you realize that 5 of the men in Calderon's cabinet split $270 million? We're not talking about crooked cops in Tijuana or in Matamoros. There's plenty of them. We're not talking about crooked military officers at the air base in Sonora where they're landing the 737s. We're talking about cabinet level officers. The American government entrusted Luna with $4.5 billion over a 3.5-year period. They mobilized 5 military campaigns, 65,000 Mexican soldiers. And who was driving the entire time? The jackass is sitting up in the mountains of Sinaloa. Luna would ask, who do you want us to go get? I go get them guys in Michoacan. The gringos are paying for everything. Then 4 months later, Luna comes back to D.C. George Bush is praising him, saying this is a man of courage, strength, honesty. We finally have a partner in the war on drugs. He got paid $50 million from Sinaloa, jackass. You guys are cutting checks, giving them helicopters, tanks, troop transports. They initiated 5 military campaigns. Operation Michoacan, Operation Baja California, Operation Juarez. They went into Tamaulipas twice for the Zetas and the Gulf. Guess who didn't get an operation? Sinaloa. Because they paid the $270 million. So when you're talking about having military troops coming into the United States, if you're partnering with the Mexican government, how do you know that information is not going to get leaked?
What do you guys think about what he's saying, guys? Can the Mexican government be trusted? Let me know in the comments.
So when our men are going on their missions, they don't have the element of surprise. Their air assaults, they're dropping into ambushes planned by American Special Forces, supported by Mexican Special Forces. Twice the Mexican government has sent their special forces to try to get Mencho. On both times they got tipped off. On the ground assault, those soldiers went right into the ambush. They unalived every one of the Mexicans and left their bodies on the highway. Jalisco suffered not one injury.
How disturbing is that, guys? Information being leaked left and right. Now, I don't think we're going into Mexico to actually go operational, but who knows how things can develop from here.
The Mexican government got so pissed off, they put together their most sophisticated elite unit of special forces. They're doing air assault. Well, once again, one of the officers on the base called and tipped off his handler. Mencho and his men got into their SUVs and they were taking off. Here come the helicopters. They can see the caravan. They get into formations. They start descending. What happens? They start blowing helicopters out of the sky. They have SA-7s. They have man-bads. They've demonstrated the capacity to blow military helicopters out of the sky. Every one of the special forces on those helicopters died. So if you're going to send our boys into, and look, one of my best friends is an Army Ranger, 2 combat tours in Afghanistan. He said they were dropping into air assault. They were dropping into ambushes all the time. The Taliban didn't have inside info. You have to assume the Mexicans are going to know our guys are coming.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that 100%. Like the level of corruption that's taking place down there, guys, there's no way we're going to be able to surprise anybody down there. Let's keep watching.
That's a very different picture. So now if you say, well, we're going to cut out the Mexicans, well, even if you don't involve them with the info, where are you going to park your helicopters? You know, you see on YouTube all these people talking, we're going to rotate our forces out of Texas. If you're going to go get Mencho's in the mountains of Jalisco, Michoacan. That's 1,200 miles from the border. You're going to fly a helicopter from Fort Bliss, 1,200 miles on one tank of gas? Drop off our men, circulate above, pick up our boys, and bring them back? That's 2,400 miles on one tank. Dodging rockets the whole time. And they know you're coming. And so it's not going to be the picture that's being presented is very flawed.
And that's what I've been screaming on YouTube since this cartel issue came about, right? We have to manage expectations, all right? And we have to approach this strategically to make sure that we don't make the situation worse, is all I'm saying. Let's keep watching.
You have almost nobody of any significance at the border. Sinaloa Cartel doesn't have 25 guys at the border. Their highest ranking guy in TJ is an E9. He'll have 3 importation cells that report to him. They're led by E7s. The workers are E6s and E5s. That's it. Nobody in the leadership, nobody in the United States, they don't put their important people at risk. So you're not going to be going over the border and fighting cartel men. There's lots of criminals in TJ that are locally contracted. Sinaloa will sacrifice every man in Tijuana. They don't care. Jalisco will sacrifice every guy in Mexicali. They don't care. But if you're going to actually target the cartel operatives, you got to go 1,000 miles into country and fight them in their mountains. And their military wings are, like I said, special forces trained, American Special Forces led, using American Special Forces tactics.
Wow. What do you guys think about this, guys? What do you guys think is going to come of this entire situation? And what do you guys make of what he is saying? All right. I've reached out to him. Hopefully I can get this specific gentleman on the podcast so we can elaborate and unpackage everything that he's saying. All right. Again, this guy's familiar with the inner workings of those organizations. He went to prison for 24 years, if I remember correctly, from having done business with those individuals. So he definitely knows what he's talking about. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Looking forward to you guys' feedback. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves.